This is your host, Candice Dickens, the owner of Dope Black Therapist and the host of, excuse me, and the owner of coloroftraumahealing.com. It has been a while since I have done this show, and since then, the world has exploded and changed. There have been so many things happened. The last spring, I was at a conference talking about mass trauma. And I remember saying at the end of that training, wow, I hope I never have to do this again, because we talked about how the body gets activated and is looking for danger. And then we see these things on the TV, and it's so different, right? I can remember, and this is me dating myself, I can remember being really young and hearing about the son of Sam. I can remember hearing about the airplane crash in the 70s. I can remember hearing about Jeffrey Dahmer in the 90s. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness. And I can remember hearing once in a blue moon about shootings at robberies and thinking, wow. And then I can remember watching movies like Rambo or what was that Willis movie? It's going to come to me. So if you know it, put it in the chat. But that Willis movie in which he, went inside his wife's business or holiday thing, and he ended up trying to save everyone. And I can remember thinking, wow, and just being on a roller coaster, watching people get hostage and him saving people, and then watching Rambo fighting all these bad people and shooting people and thinking, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing. And never thinking that movie will reflect reality in 2023, where people will go into public schools, supermarkets, work offices, and intentionally harm other people. And the only difference is that there's no Rambo coming through the door to save all these people. That fantasy now looks like our reality. And what happened back then is that we had to get systemized to watch violent movies, because I remember watching those movies going, oh my God. Just, close my eyes or run into the bathroom and say, I'll be back when the scene is over. Right. But here's the thing that's scary. What happens when every 4 months it's the same scene? And each time you see it on TV, it's I'll come back when it's over, but it never ends. For many of us, it leads us to a place where we feel shut down, powerless, because now the violence has become normal for us. And it's almost like watching a TV show that never ends, where instead of us being surprised, we're just sad and like, wow, again? Wow, who would do this? And there used to be a time when it was abnormal, but now it's the normal part of it, because we don't go with a week without hearing about something horrible happening, either domestically or internationally, to people. The violence has become the norm, and we've become a little bit desensitized from it because it happens so frequently, so that it's not like, oh my goodness. And it doesn't lead to hours and hours of talking about it. It leads to moments or seconds of talking about it. And then we go to the next topic. It doesn't stop us in our tracks anymore because it happens so often. And there was a period, I remember when 9/11 happened, the fear was, oh my God, what if it happens again? And people were afraid to go to New York City, and people were afraid to go to DC, and people were afraid of getting on planes. And I can remember hearing the planes above my head and just stopping, wondering if that plane is going to crash, or does that plane have hostages on it? Because my thinking was, if it happened on 9/11, it could happen again. Now my thinking is, wow, it can happen anywhere. And there's not a thought about preparing for it. It's now a part of life. And that's the dangerous thing that's become a part of life. And there are people who are born in the 2000s or late 90s who this is all they know. If you're born in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, this is not all you knew. This is what you learned to become used to. But this is not all you know. So when I speak to my son who's all of 21, what he knows is when I go to the airport, people check me down and go through TSA. And he doesn't realize that there was a period where you can go to the airport and nobody patted you down. The most you did was put your luggage on the hanger so it can go through it for security. He doesn't remember the time that you used to be able to eat meals on the airline. Now all he knows you got to pay for everything, and they give you got to pay for a soda, and sometimes you got to even pay for the peanuts. Life has changed, and now we've become a society where we're feeling powerless to stop the things that put us at harm. And when that happens, what does it happen to our mental health? What does it happen to those who get systemized and used to hearing about children being slaughtered, get used to hearing about bombs exploding at concerts? What does it happen to the mental health of people who feel powerless and who grieve every 3 to 4 days about another death, and who live with that uncertainty, not knowing when it's going to happen next or who is it going to happen next, right? So it's like watching a movie of Rambo, thinking, "Oh, that's Rambo. Now Rambo 2 is going to come out. Rambo 3 is coming out," and then there's a little bit of disconnection because you think I'm watching a movie that's never going to happen to you, and that's the experience that a lot of us are now having, that disconnection, thinking is happening to them, and they're far away, and not realizing it can happen to you because it happens so often. It's like watching the blockbusters that happened on July 4th, right? Watching all the aliens come to town, Will Smith with his gun, Men in Black come on, and realizing, wow, this is just like the blockbuster scene where they all come out at the same time. And instead of running and being afraid, many of us have go numb. We shut down, or we become desensitized, like, wow, that's sad. And then we go into the next thing. Or for some of us, we get locked and loaded. What does that mean? We get paralyzed just by the idea of it, just by the sadness of humanity has changed. That instead of us having compassion, many people live as if they're in a video game where they go through the video game shooting people, right? Slaughtering people, doing drop kicks with people. And what's sad is that when reality looks like fantasy and people become desensitized because the movies prime us, and some video games and some other things as well, they prime us for how we should act when someone upsets us. So I can watch a reality show and like, oh, she's gonna yell at her and they're gonna fight and da da da. And we don't realize there's that vicarious learning when I'm watching, this is how you deal with conflict. Instead of walking away, you get them back. Instead of resolving it, talking, you're yelling, you're throwing tables, you're getting people's faces. That violence becomes a thing that looks now like strength. It looks like the thing with someone standing up. And no matter who the people are, the people don't matter. The person standing up matters, and getting the attention matters. And there's something that dangerous that happens when people stop mattering and only your anger and your hurt and the message you're trying to convey matters. Right? And that ties in sometimes with even social media, where how many likes I can get, that matters. How many people can make laugh? That matters. And we're looking for people to align with us, to watch us do these things. Watch me shoot people. Watch me do all these horrible things because I want people to witness me. I want that feeling of connection with people because maybe I'm feeling disconnected in my own life. And my only connection is in a fantasy world that looks like social media. Because on social media, you can look wealthy the way Bow Wow did, right? You're wealthy, getting on a private plane, and the truth, you're in coach. On social media, you can look like you're happy, and the truth is you've been in bed for 3 to 4 days. It's dangerous when reality and fantasy gets blurred. And part of that is us reminding ourselves of what's important and that people matter and that we all matter. And then when bad things happen, instead of us moving really quickly, it's really nice just to connect yourself and recognizing something in the universe is happening and giving yourself permission to put a feeling on that something. Something has happened where someone was harmed. Something's happening in a country where people are being slaughtered. Something's happening in my community where there's gunplay. Something's happening in my world that may not directly impact me, but that may impact people who look like me. Because once I can recognize that and sit with that, that humanity comes back. And once I can have compassion and recognizing Even though it's not happening to me, it's not like a Bugs Bunny movie. It can happen to me. And recognizing I can sit and worry about that and I can be like a doomsday person and prepare for that. Or I could recognize that I can't prepare for something that hasn't happened. And that's what anxiety does, right? It gives us a false sense of we got to prepare for something and do something. So people stock up and they narrate and they go in their minds and they role play what I'm going to do if this person says this or if this happens. And it's exhausting because then your body thinks you're getting ready for something that truly is going to happen. And it doesn't realize you're getting ready for something that possibly could happen, that there might be a 5% or a 10% chance that it happens to you. So we'll say to people to be present, recognizing it's not happening and it may not happen to you, but recognize that it's happening in the world. And when it happens with you, recognizing you have enough resources, enough experience that you'll figure out what to do next to survive the experience, to get through the experience. We don't have to prepare for danger. We just recognize that it's in us as animals, as humans, to go into survival. If someone jumps in behind a bush, I don't gotta practice what I'm gonna do. I know Candice Dickens, and I know if someone jumps behind a bush and comes for Candice Dickens, I know there's going to be a fight or somebody's going to be running or someone's going to be screaming. I don't have to practice that because I know that it's in me to have that fight flight syndrome. It's in all of us to either fight our way through something, flight, run our way through something, or I'm going to play dead so I can survive that something, or I'm going to reach out right through co-regulation to try to get someone to help me. It's in you. It's already in you genetically. It's wired in you, and it's wired in all the animals. And I want to leave you with this. Take good care of you and recognize that if it's too much for you to watch it on TV, give yourself a break. Turn the TV off. Take a break. If you need to hear the news, you can Google news, Google big news about business, Google about some community events. But give yourself permission to take breaks just the way you protect you during COVID, because lots of us were like, wow, those daily press releases from the president was so much, and then the governor was so much. And for many of us, we learned how to protect the mind and protect the heart and protect the body because whatever's in the mind shows up in the emotions and shows up in the body. So if the mind says danger, the body gets ready and gets tense. And I'm always looking around. I'm hyperventilating. I'm afraid. So I wanted you to protect you by giving you a break, protect you by making sure you're doing some self-connection, protect you, put your feet on the ground. Just feel how the feet feels on your underneath your feet, how your toes feel when they're wiggling your shoes. Take a breath when you see something horrible and name that thing, that feeling. Connect back to your humanity, to your compassion, but also give yourself permission of how I'm going to take care of myself today. What am I going to do to make sure that whatever is happening in the world, I'm not carrying it on my shoulders or on my back? You matter. How you cope with things matters. How you deal with things matter. If you feel like you need some help to get through this, professional help, I have an amazing directory for providers. It's called coloroftraumaandhealing.com. I'm going to say it again for those of you who didn't hear. I'm going to intro a little dramatic. It's called coloroftraumaandhealing.com. And we're clinicians that specialize in healing trauma, specialize in anxiety disorders and depression. And we specialize in being present for you. So if you're looking for someone, check us out because help is out there. No one has to go through this alone because there's vicarious trauma and there's direct trauma where direct is I'm going through it, vicarious is I witness it and I live it. Because just because you watch it on TV doesn't mean you take it with you where you go. Every experience gets picked up and taken where we go. So be good to yourself. And I hope to see you next time. It's good to see everyone. It's been a while. So please feel free to subscribe to my channel, dopebblacktherapist.com on YouTube channel, and check out the website, Color Trauma and Healing. We would love to be able to be part of your healing experience, and we would love to be able to be of support to you. Have an amazing day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.